This is an instructional video from Rothenbuhler Engineering. In this segment, I will be going over the use of shock tube initiators in conjunction with the remote firing device models from Rothenbuhler Engineering that utilize the high energy remotes. Now I have three models laid out in front of me here. To my left here is the model 1678, specifically utilizing the mini controller. In the middle I have the model 1680, and on the right here I have the model 1685. Now the two latter models here, the model 1680 and 85, the remotes with that system is only the high energy remote, which is capable of doing both shock tube and electric caps or tools. On the model 1678 here, there are three type of remote models available that will all work with the same controller. Specifically here, I have the RSTI, which is dedicated or engineered specifically for initiating shock tube. And it's done so with the use of this Duke Pro tip on the top of it here. The one here in the middle is the standard electric remote, which is designed specifically for initiating electric blasting caps. Pretty self-explanatory, a couple of push-button binding posts on top to connect your caps to. Now, with these two models that work very good for what they're designed for, you can only do one or the other. If you want shock tube, you got to use this remote. If you want to do electric blasting caps, you got to utilize this one. But what if you want to be able to do both? Enter the high energy remote. Because these do put out such a good deal of energy, specifically 390 volts approximately, you can do shock tube, electric, and even function some of the tools that require a higher amount of energy, such as some of the electric breaches that you might see on some of the different pan disruptors. The way that you're able to function shock tube with this basically electric type of remote is with the use of this shock tube initiator. Now, when you look at this, at first glance, it basically looks just like an electric match, and it is very similar. The biggest difference is there is no pyrotechnic or chemical compounds in this that's going to restrict this or make it regulated like you're going to have with an electric match. So you don't have the issues with storage, shipping, transportation with these that you would have with those other type of initiators. So it makes it really nice and easy to move these around and not having to worry about them. The way they work, because of when you introduce enough energy into these, the bridge wire here just acts like a fuse of a car. Enough energy is going to get this to crack sufficiently enough that it's going to explode and initiate your shock tube, which I'll demonstrate here later on. So it makes it really nice and convenient to use without having to change tips or get a whole entirely different remote out if you want to do one or the other. And the way it would work, attach, is you pull off the little sheath if it's still on there on the bottom. At the end of these, just before the insulation ends, there's a little bit of a separation already. You can just pull them apart. Doesn't matter which is which, it's non-polarity specific connections on these binding posts. I utilize the model 1685 to hook it up to. And I will point out that this will be the condition that you'd want the remote to be in when you hook anything up to it, whether it's a shock tube initiator, electric blasting cap, shock tube blasting cap, whatever the case may be. You want to obviously make sure it's powered on, and you want that green safe or ready light on. You wouldn't want that to be armed when you're connecting a tool or something energetic to it. The same way you wouldn't necessarily want to have this connected and introduce power later on. You already want to have this powered on in a safe mode. So you push down on one connector, push down on the other, just make sure you had a good connection on there, and that's what it looks like when it's connected. Now, when it comes time to whether you are hooking up a shock tube blasting cap to it or non-L, or you're just running shock tube out to some type of disruptor, the way you connect the shock tube to the initiator, it's very similar to the little plastic connectors that are going to come in the roll of shock tube. Just push one in into the other, and when we talk about explosives, we always like to talk about having good intimate contact when we can. So ideally, you push it up all the way till basically it's touching that bridge wire, and that's how you connect them.